Hello everyone, it's Nick here with MP Gunsmith and Firearms in Lewiston, New York. Our phone number is 716-481-7302. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, feel free to reach out. We're always here to help the best we can. Today I'm going to show you this firearm right here. Excuse me. This is a Remington model 7600. For those that don't know what it is a pump action rifle. This one's actually chambered in .308. I'm going to show you how to disassemble it so you can work on it, so you can clean it, make sure all the cam pins are there, and I'll show you what those cam pins are and why that's important. Especially make sure they're there. That's why this one was brought to me. Full disclosure, I've already had this one apart and cleaned and fixed. I just forgot to make a video, and I thought it was a pretty unique one to show, so I'm going to show you how to do that. I already left the stock off. As you can see, there's no stock here. We'll pull the trigger group out, and then I will show you how to remove the barrel and the bolt so this can be worked on, and I'll show you those cam pins I'm talking about. There's two of them. There's a large one and a small one. This one was actually missing the large cam pin. So when the bolt was rotating, the one side would drop. This one had actually a feeding issue. It would load the first round great. I wouldn't say great, but it would load the first one. And then after ejecting the shell, you'd really have to force it to try and load your second round. And what was happening, without that cam pin being in the side, the bolt would drop. So nothing was lining properly. The lugs weren't lining the lock, so you really had to force it there. But I will show you those. So first we're going to remove these two pins in the back. They're not directional. They go either or. But I like to go right to left. I'll pop them out, pull the trigger group out. And I will show you how to remove the slide, the barrel, the bolt. It comes out as one assembly. You might be looking at me like, what do you mean it comes out in one assembly? It comes out in one piece. I'll show you that. So with that being said, we'll get these pins popped out, move the trigger group. Okay. I'm sure I remove the hole. Alright, these pins are removed. Okay, and then you just grab the trigger, work it out. Okay, there's your trigger group. Pretty simple. You need to take it apart to clean it. Just be mindful. Pop that pin out. For your safety, there's going to be a spring under there with a detent ball. Just be very careful if you're taking it apart. I mean, if you can see it, we got two pins here in the back. Like I said, that one's holding down your detent and a spring for your safety. Be very careful when you take that apart. Be mindful of how it goes back together so you don't screw anything up. This is polymer, so make sure you're using the right chemicals when you're cleaning. But we can set that aside. I will bring this back into view. So on the front of your pump handle, there's a screw right here. You can't see it, but there in the end there's a screw. We're going to remove that screw. Okay, and then you can take your slide, your grip off, your forend, whatever you'd like to call it. Okay. Moving that front screw. It's a long-winded screw. Okay, that screw comes out. Might have to give that a little tap to come off of there. Go. Take a grip, set it outside. Now what we're staring at here is your gun. Now if you look on where your slide handle goes back and forth, you got these holes right through here. There's 4 of them. You use a spanner wrench if you have one to remove that. If you don't have one, I'll show you a little trick. Find yourself a nice punch that fits all the way through these holes. You don't need to go, you want to go from one hole to the other. They're straight across from each other. But you don't want to go so far through the hole that you're actually going to be prying on your arms here. Okay? Just enough to catch both sides. And these are usually tight. So I left this one loose just for sakes. So you spin this off. And you'll actually start to see, you're going to separate your barrel from your receiver right here. You'll see a gap start to grow as you're spinning this off. Now these are fairly decent firearms. Most I've ever heard about people having problems with them were with 10-round magazines, loading issues. This one was brought to me with a 4-round magazine, so I don't think they've ever used a 10-round magazine. People slight accuracy because, you know, pump actions aren't as accurate as a bolt action. So let's see if I can spin this by hand. Okay, now that's all the way off. Now before I remove this whole section, you're going to notice in these they have this fancy little plastic piece here. Okay, it covers the bolt and everything. That's going to come out when you remove the barrel. When we go back together, that actually goes in after the barrel's in. So with that bolt being loose, you just give it a tug. Everything comes out. There's your little plastic piece. You can set that aside. Okay, here's your bolt. See it camming on there. Now I'm going to show you these cam pins that I was talking about and how easy they come out. You can see you got a small one on this side and there's a large one on this side. And you can see just by turning it, that small one came out. Okay, and you'll see how it rides in these grooves right here. There's this groove. The cam pin fits in that hole and a bolt rides along it and this machine piece through the bolt. Okay, except that's the small one. They just fit in there. This one was missing the large one, which is on this side. So you can see how with those missing, this bolt has nothing to ride on this side. So what was happening, this one was just dropping a little bit, but it was to bring the barrel back into place. See how that all lines up together? Okay. And when that one was missing, you can see how these lugs are right here. That was actually, get it separated. These lugs were actually off just a hair to where you had to force it shut. Now that both of them are back in there, the large ones there, small ones there, but they come out easy when you have it apart. If this gun, I don't know how they lost the big one. The guy bought it used and then brought it to me because it wasn't working right. if the previous owner had lost this plastic piece, because it does get exposed if that plastic cover is not there. That's the only way I could think of that it went missing. But it's all taken care of now. So I will show you how to put this all back together in just a brief second. You have to. Alright, so now with all that being said and all that being shown, I'm going to stick this back together for you. Slide everything, and like I said, that plastic piece goes in after you get the barrel and everything back in. Getting some stuff out of the way that I don't need here anymore. So like I said, I already had this part. I already replaced the pin that was missing, cleaned everything, oiled everything. So now to go back in, you just simply slide your barrel assembly back in. This piece slides out, start threading it into place. I'll show you what I mean by that large cam plug is exposed once I have this threaded back in. Or this is probably the worst part of it, is threading this thing back in. Thread it up. I will finish torquing that down later, but I wanted to show you this. So without that plastic piece on there, you can see that this large cam pin is exposed. So that's the only way I can think of that got lost from the previous owner. Really don't see how it will come out if the plastic piece is in there, because this kind of, it slides with it. So when you put this in, keep your bolt kind of halfway in there. You're going to get the back shoved in. There's a rail that this top piece rides on, and then this, you can see how it's cut out here. There's a cutout right here that it fits into. So it's like a little stupid puzzle. This is not a great design at all, but it works for them. It's not in right there. There we go. Now it's in all the way. It slides freely on its own. Slides with the bolt. You see how the bolt protects that pin, or that cover protects the pin right there. So that's how you do that section of it. When it comes to the trigger, you gotta, I'm gonna go to put it in, I'm gonna start forward and then kind of go backwards, because it is wider here than it is in the frame, and you have to be mindful of your slide release right here. It sticks out farther than the trigger grip, this little spring, so when you get down to it, you have to just push it in a little bit so you can clear the frame and clear the frame of the receiver. So okay, move down, pushing it down, and right there, my side release, I'm hitting, that spring is just hitting right there. You just push it in so you can clear it, get your holes lined back up. You can get your pins pushed back through. One pin, two pin. Okay, it's pretty simple. And you get your foregrip put back in place. We will be sighting this back in for the customer when we're all done. So I like to give that a little extra whack on the end just to make sure it seats. Get the screw started. I can still get my holes so I can properly tighten that down. I just want to get this back together, run it through a function check for you so that you see that everything works properly. Well, function check wise. Should always run a function check before you actually take anything to the range that you've taken apart. So I recommend dummy rounds. Best way to run a function check if you don't have them. If you're just working on something specific of your own, they're not expensive. You can get them on Amazon. You know, anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks, depending on the caliper. Actually, the larger ones cost more. Okay, so that's back together. I'm gonna get out some dummy rounds. .308 dummy rounds. Okay, I got the last round on there. We'll check the fire. Safety works. Fires. Like that. So that functions properly. So we'll finish putting it together. We'll tighten everything up. Gets the range. Sight it in. So that is how you take apart this Remington 7600 pump action. It's very different. You don't see many pump action rifles like this. But I just wanted you to see how that comes apart in case you ever come across one or you have one and you're unaware. Not bad, just some little tiny nuances like this stupid ass plastic cover here. So yeah, that is what I have for you today. I appreciate you watching and all the subscribers and everything. Like I said, any questions, comments, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Have yourselves a good day. MP Gunsmith and Firearms, Lewiston, New York, 716-481-7302. Thank you.